Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Monday, August 12, 2024. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network, the estate of Isaac Hayes. They have filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump for the unauthorized use of the iconic song, Hold On, I'm Coming. Trump has played this at his rallies since 2012, more than 130 instances of using it without permission. We'll be joined by Isaac Hayes III and his attorney, James Walker, to break down this lawsuit. Donald Trump is going crazy over the size of Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz's rally crowd. He's now claiming they are using AI to create them. I told y'all that man is crazy. And the excitement of the Harris-Walz campaign is causing some conservatives to jump off the Trump train. I'll talk to one black Texas pastor, a very conservative pastor, who says he is voting, who says voting for the orange man is extremely detrimental, and he'll explain why he is voting for Vice President Kamala Harris. Recent polls indicate then the election-specific anxiety is on the rise. We'll talk with a psychologist about this very issue. Plus, jury selection began with a white woman who murdered a black Florida mother by shooting her through a door. Plus, a Pennsylvania district attorney drops the first-degree murder charge of a former cop who killed a motorist during a traffic stop. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. The Black Star Network, let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
All right, folks, a lawsuit has been filed against Donald Trump by the family of the late singer Isaac Hayes, demanding that him and his campaign stop using his music during campaign rallies. According to the lawsuit that was dropped over the weekend, Trump and the campaign, they've used the song Hold On, I'm Coming more than 134 times. And that song was written for the R&B duo Sam and Dave. Trump last used it at his August 3rd rally in Atlanta. And so the estate makes it perfectly clear to Trump, hey, no, you didn't get permission for this. And they're demanding $3 million. Joining us right now is Isaac Hayes III, who is the founder of Fanbase social media app. His attorney, James Walker, joins me here in Washington, D.C. So first and foremost, Isaac, I'm going to start with you. How many times prior to the lawsuit had y'all told the Trump folks, stop using your dad's music?
Well, I've posted about it on social media about 4 times, and we sent a cease and desist over a year ago for him to stop using the song. So it's been a while. Every time that I happen to catch him using the song, I make a statement via my father's social media account and then repost it and, say, stop using the song, and we don't want any part of Donald Trump using that record.
James, cease and desist sent a year ago. Did they ever respond?
No, never responded.
Just totally ignored it?
Just totally ignored it. And the copyright is now back in the family's hands, and we're going to enforce it. We feel a $3 million fee is appropriate for the licenses that have been used that you alluded to. And that's just what we found. We think it may be more than 134.
Now for the audience, explain to them how this works. Because over the weekend, we saw Celine Dion also send a letter, post a note, and sent a letter to the Trump campaign as well, because I guess there was a rally in Montana, and they used her song from the Titanic.
Yes, they did.
And she was not happy about that as well. So when there's a rally or a public event, how does that work when music is used?
Sure. Normally you have ASCAP and BMI, and they'll give a license. These are music performance rights societies.
Right.
And they'll give you a license to say you can use this music in a venue. But most of those venues will rent the venue out to you for you to bring your conference in. Once you bring your conference in, you have to get special permission, particularly political rallies. Because with political rallies, a lot of times, as Mr. Hayes has said, he doesn't allow you to license his family's music at political rallies because you don't want to send a message that you're endorsing a particular candidate.
Right.
So what Donald Trump should have done is what we saw Kamala do. She got permission from Beyonce. She's using Freedom, Madam Vice President, she's using the Freedom song, I believe, by Beyonce, and she's gotten permission. Mr. Trump didn't do that, so technically, Mr. Hayes could ask him for $100,000 per rally or more. If he wanted to really go hard, I think the fact that he only said pull it down and let's work out a nominal amount, which I think was the $3 million, was more than considerate given how many abuses there have been, given the fact that there's been demand letters sent out in the past, given the fact that he's tweeted about it. I mean, what do you do? So we're going to seek injunctive relief on top of this complaint. We're going to also seek that all of the venues be held accountable and the ad agencies and the third parties. Like, I think you have super PACs.
Yep.
And I may need to get with your office or other experts in this field to understand who are some of these people that are at these rallies. But we believe there's some super PACs that are pushing these videos. Now, one thing I want to point out, Roland, you have a license to use it in a venue. But when you put that music in a YouTube video, that's not a venue. So to me, that's another license. When you walk around the country as Trump does.
And for people who don't understand, if we play music on this show, matter of fact, I remember we had B.B. Winans on the show, and we had him on the show to talk about his new song. We got a YouTube strike, and so they actually hit the video. We had to send them an email saying we were given permission to play this song, and then they lifted the strike from our account. People need to understand that's how these things work.
That's totally how it works now with YouTube, Google Play, Apple Music, all of these digital Instagram. Everybody, this brother here, Mr. Hayes, he has probably seen Donald Trump have 500 million views of these different rallies on these different platforms. So the license Donald Trump and company would need would be beyond just Montana, beyond just LA, New York, wherever he's campaigning. It would be a license that would have to cover digital, outdoor, a video. If he's sending out emails to his financial donors and he's putting that video in it, we want to know about that. We want to be paid. You're using our video and our music, hold on, I'm coming, and he's doing the corny little dance, and he's making millions of dollars from it.
Isaac, I remember when I was at CNN, I can't remember which one we had, but I remember when Soledad had a morning show, they would often send us, they said, hey, what songs do you want to play tomorrow? And we would send, 5 or 10 songs, and they would say, hey, we have the license for this one, but not this one, because they had either ASCAP or BMI. So a lot of people out there don't really understand how artists, how songwriters, and in this case, how estates still get paid. It's no different than when the courts rule at the King estate on the I Have a Dream speech. You just couldn't just put it in a video. You couldn't just air it. You had to actually get permission from the estate or pay a licensing fee to do so.
Yeah, well, typically these copyrights are owned by publishers along with the songwriter. So the unique situation that we're in now is my father's copyrights starting to expire, which means they were getting terminated and returning to the family. So before 1978, any song written before 1978 would return to the artist or the heir of those artists after 56 years. So Hold On, I'm Coming was written in 1966. So 56 years after that is 2022, which March of 2022 is when the copyright returned to our family. That's unique because once these copyrights typically return to the family, a lot of these estates sell. I know you often hear a lot of times artists are selling their catalogs. They're doing these huge deals. They're selling their, their masters. They're publishing to these large entities. And I chose not to do so, and instead retain ownership of the copyright for ourselves. So we don't have to abide by the rules that typically publishers do. And sometimes the publishers like to remain neutral, so they don't want to get involved in political stuff. So even if someone like Donald Trump does use a record, right? They might not. The artist might express that they don't want the artist to use the song. So, for example, if Celine Dion says that she doesn't want Donald Trump to use the song, she can say that. But if she didn't write the record or she doesn't own the publishing to the song, she has no legal control to be able to stop it.
Well, that's why this is the statement that she put out. Go to my iPad. it says Celine Dion's management team and her record label, Sony Music Entertainment Canada, Inc., became aware of the unauthorized usage of the video. And so this is her making a statement here. And we've seen a lot of artists going back to when he ran in 2016 saying, no, you can't play our stuff. I think the Rolling Stones.
Tom Petty.
Well, James.
Tom Petty.
So a number of artists, Tom Petty as well, they were like, say, dog, we don't like you.
Right.
Don't play our stuff.
Right, exactly.
Because they didn't want people thinking playing the artist music that they are supporting Trump.
Now, something the brilliant Isaac Hayes just pointed out is that there's a right of privacy, a right of publicity. So Dr. King's family was able to win because they were able to argue, this is his image, this is his name, this is his likeness. If you're going to use his speech, you're violating that right of publicity, that right of like your own likeness to yourself, your own rights to yourself, your image. So by way of comparison, when they use Isaac Hayes' music, we feel they're violating his right of publicity in terms of the estate and the image, the legacy and reputation of Isaac Hayes by playing this music that suggests Celine Dion or the Rolling Stones or somebody else is endorsing the campaign of Donald Trump.
So the time frame you've given them?
5 days.
5 days from when the suit was filed?
Yeah, 5 days from when they got the letter.
Saturday?
Saturday they got the demand, and we're giving them this Friday, and we're going to seek injunctive relief, and then we're going to move to start doing what's called takedown notices, where we notify YouTube. Anywhere we see this video or these videos, we're going to start pulling them down.
Isaac, last question for you. You've gotten a lot of MAGA hate as a result of this.
Of course. I mean, that's not a problem. I mean, listen, the issue that I have, and I don't want this to be political because I know that, you know, things are heated right now, but it's more about the reputation and the character of Donald Trump, right? I'm a brother to 7 sisters. Donald Trump is found liable of sexual abuse. He says horrible things about Kamala Harris, his opponent in this election. And so as a man that has 7 sisters, I don't want anybody to hear "Hold on, I'm coming" and think of Donald Trump in that way for his character and his persona and the image that he portrays with, you know, his racist rhetoric, his divisive rhetoric, hateful rhetoric. So I don't want any part of that, and I don't want Isaac Hayes' legacy to be any part of that as well.
I did get a kick, Isaac, out of these people who actually tried to tell you that Trump made the song popular.
Yeah,
I mean,
did it all day.
That is probably "Hold On, I'm Coming" is probably one of the biggest songs in the catalog of songs that we do own. We get multiple licenses a year. This song is used, and those licenses do get in excess of $100,000, $300,000 just, you know, to be used in ads and in TV and film and stuff like that. So the value of that record has already been there. It's just we're in the unique position that we are the copyright holders and not some of these major publishing companies that do tend to be a little neutral when it comes to, you know, Democratic and Republican parties. And so I just don't have to follow those rules.
Along that line, when he came to my office and we talked about doing this, one of the things he pointed out to me, and I agreed, many of these artists, if they're signed to a major label and that label is a publicly traded company, it's very hard for them to challenge Donald Trump because someone in that infrastructure is saying, oh, ignore that letter you got from the little junior level associate. We're not going to bother you, Donald. Somebody at a big, you know, Sony, Universal, BMG, one of these big companies that many of these artists or songwriters are signed to, the songwriter might be just as upset and might have the courage of Isaac Hayes III, but he or she is not going to get a response because Donald Trump's team has someone in the label team at the highest level that's his golfing buddy. And it's saying,
or as a donor.
Or as a donor, right, that part.
Got it.
So we applaud Mr. Hayes because he, Liz Garner, his whole team, they're standing up. They're fighting back and they're taking the hits that are going to temporarily come.
And again, I think what the public doesn't fully understand and fully grasp is that when you start talking about when you possess the rights to the music, we're talking. Sir Mix-a-Lot talked about the millions he made off of ringtones.
Right.
You're talking commercials.
Right.
A lot of old school music. It's crazy when I'm sitting here talking to my nieces and nephews. They don't know the song except when it aired, when it was in an animated film.
Right. Right.
Oh, that was in this film. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? No.
Right.
So the public doesn't really understand, Isaac, how this music lives in so many spaces, and this is a licensing music is a multi-billion-dollar business.
100%. I think that, again, this song was a hit in 1966, and it's been used in numerous films, video games, ads, like I said, repeatedly, over the last 50, 60 years. And so it's a very valuable piece of publishing property that I want to make sure that is protected and not sullied with the brand of Donald Trump, regardless of the fact that he's running for president. That has nothing to do with it. It's the character of the man. And so that can actually devalue. I don't want somebody to hear that and say, I'm not using that, because that's, we don't represent the Trump campaign. We're not endorsing Donald Trump. So we want no part of that. And so this record needs to be no part of that as well.
And to the people who don't understand music publishing, we all know this is August, the month of Michael Jackson. That publishing catalog is worth $2 billion or something. So publishing is where the money is, and what Mr. Hayes is doing for his dad's legacy, estate, and just reputation going forward the next 100 years is incredible.
All right. James, we appreciate it. Keep us abreast of what happens. Isaac, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks, got to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Black Americans have 1/10 the wealth of their white counterparts. But how did we get here? It's a huge gap. Well, that's why we need to know the history and what we need to do to turn our income into wealth. Financial author and journalist Rodney Brooks joins us to tell us exactly what we need to do to achieve financial success.
You can't talk about why we are, as Black people, where we are, unless you talk about how we got here.
Bridging the gap and getting wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, stressing over money. Record inflation is making it hard to not only balance our checkbooks, but to balance our emotions.
The way the whole economy is set up really is to play with our emotions.
A very special show coming up with America's Wealth Coach, Deborah Owens. And our all-star panel will share insight, advice, and tips on how to keep your head above water and balance your life. That's on next, A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Paula J. Parker. Truly proud on the Proud Family.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Proud.
Hi, I'm Jo Marie Payton, voice of Sugar Mama on Disney's Louder and Prouder Disney Plus. And I'm with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
Hey, folks, my panel, Dr. Julianne Malveaux, economist, author, president emerita, Bennett College, joining us from D.C. Dr. Amakongo Dibinga, senior professorial lecturer, School of International Service, American University out of D.C. Renita Shannon, former Georgia State representative, joining us out of Atlanta. Glad to have all three of you here. Follow the money, Julianne. This lawsuit, again, follows what so many other artists have done. They don't want any association with this thug, Donald Trump. And what they're saying, no, don't just not play our music. Time for y'all to pay up.
Absolutely right. I'm happy that Isaac Hayes III has done this, and his attorney is right on point with what the issue is. There are economic losses here. Basically, the use of that, so Hold On, I'm Coming is one of our iconic songs. 66, I was a kid, but I remember singing it out in the yard, and it was associated with Sam and Dave, associated with Isaac Hayes, and they're basically denigrating the brand. They're basically taking the value of the brand and taking it down. Because who wants to be associated with a 34-time felon, convicted rapist? Don't get me started. Who wants to be associated with that? So as you said in the segment, Roland, some young people only see certain music. They don't see the artist. They see it through, it was in a cartoon, it was on X or Twitter or whatever, and they will associate it with that band. And that's what they don't want. So they're fighting for the integrity of their brand, and the integrity of the brand is worth money. And so when you besmirch the integrity of the brand, you're stealing from them. I think that Mr. Hayes has been very modest. He's asked for a modest, it's 134 times $3 million. He could ask for a lot more. He could ask for $100,000 per. Because after all, he told them to stop. They refused to stop, number one. Number two, they never asked permission. This is a caucasity of Mr. Trump. I'll do whatever I want. And the thing about it that's so ironic, this man places high value on his brand. He made a lot of money with the Trump Hotel this and the Trump this. He even got some Trump tennis shoes. And so if he wants his brand to have integrity, how come he can't respect the integrity of other brands?
And let's be real clear here, Amakonga. What you're dealing with is you're dealing with a thug who has left a paper trail of folks that he owes. MSNBC did a breakdown over the weekend. This was a graphic they posted. These are all of the cities he owes money to across the country. You're talking about as little as, and one of the reasons they said that he did not land in Billings, Montana for the rally last week is that they were prepared to seize his airplane with a lien unless he paid the $42,000. So he landed 2 hours away and then drove into Billings for the rally. But you see here, he owes Minneapolis $530,000. He owes the District of Columbia $9 million for that July 4th military salute or whatever the hell took place in addition to his inauguration. And so this punk just doesn't want to pay people. And so I like the fact that they're going after his pocketbook.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to love it. And when you talk about even when he was running for office, so many of the small businesses and people who were talking about they were stiffed by him. And he's like, well, I just don't pay for crappy service. It's a lie. He's cheap. He's stingy. He doesn't care about the people on the ground. And I think that every place that the vice president and Walz go to, they need to mention that. They were just in Arizona, a place where Trump owes money for these rallies that he didn't pay. And they want to talk about this is a guy who's going to help the economy. But further to the point about this, I post videos up on YouTube all of the time. And if I have something in there that I didn't realize was this or that, they take it down quick within 24 hours or less. And so I don't understand how some of these places move so slowly as relates to this particular issue. And so I'm so glad that Hayes III and his lawyers are working hard on this. But I feel like these companies, the Googles and YouTubes, they should be moving as fast as they do with regular folk who are dealing with these issues on a regular basis. But this is pattern and practice of Trump not caring anything about Black people. In the same way that he doesn't care about Kamala's name and says, say whatever you want, there's 9 different ways to say it. He's saying the same thing about, I can just take this music, I don't care. This is how I do with Black people, and they just got to deal with it. And I'm so glad that they're coming for him, and we got to all keep coming for him because he's never going to stop. And I didn't know that whole thing about what you were saying about the Billings and why he landed where he did. But this is the country saying, we're tired of this dude, and we're not going to continue to let you be a fraud in all of our lives, whether we're talking about entertainment or political rallies or anything like that. And pay us in D.C., man. We're owed that money.
Renita?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the Republican Party as a whole probably has little respect for artists. And I say that because it's almost exclusively Republicans that get busted with using artist songs and not having permission. And then when the artist says, please don't use my song, they continue to use it. So Donald Trump is absolutely a repeat offender. He's been busted by Adele, Elton John, Aerosmith. I mean, the list goes on and on, not even to mention Isaac Hayes and Celine Dion, who told him this weekend, definitely stop using our music. This is just what he does all the time. It's just use folks' music. They ask him to stop, and he continues to do it. But he's not the only one. John McCain, Mitt Romney, they all had the same issue. Republicans, one after another, being told by artists not to use the music in their rallies, and then they continue to do so. So to me, it just kind of shows a lack of respect in general for artists, that they just can't even respect that these people have used their creative ability to come up with these songs, and they can't even respect when these artists are saying, don't use my music. Well, my deal is take them to the bank. Absolutely. And so you want to get his attention? Yeah, you focus on that damn money. I like it, and sometimes you got to go ahead and check them. All right, y'all, going to a break. We come back. Can y'all believe these fools
Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are so desperate. Now they're trying to suggest that the vice president, they using AI in their campaign rallies, in their photos. Trump, you the one using AI showing you with black people that don't exist. Because ain't nobody black trying to hang out with you, except for a few crazy ass fools. We're gonna discuss that when we come back. Don't forget, supporters of what we do, y'all. Join the Bring the Funk fan club. You can, of course, send your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. It's a rare occasion when a course taught in high school becomes a topic of national conversation, let alone a burning controversy. But that's exactly what happened with Advanced Placement African American Studies, courtesy of a certain Southern governor who's taking offense. On our next show, we take you inside the classroom for an up-close look at the course through the eyes of the teachers that teach it, the students that are taking it, and the communities that surround them.
And so many of the kids we saw, the truth. And, it just impacts those kids in such a big way.
A master teacher roundtable on the next Black Table that you do not want to miss, right here on the Black Star Network.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
I still have my NFL contract in my house, having a case. It's 4 of them, for my 4-year contract. I got a $600,000 signing bonus. My base salary for that first year was $150,000. Matter of fact,
$150,000.
$150,000. That's what I made, $150,000. Now think about it. My signing bonus was a forgivable loan, supposedly. When I got traded to the Colts, they made me pay back my signing bonus to them. I had to give them their $600,000 back.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so pissed. Because, I try to be a man of my word. I'm like, you, I'll give you your money back. Even though I know I earned that money, I gave them their money back. I gave them their $600,000 back. But yet, I was this malcontent. I was a bad guy. I'm about the money. It wasn't about the money. It was about doing right. Because I looked at, because you look at contract. Look at John Elway. John Elway was making $1 million, $800,000. I was making $150,000. I was doing everything. And I'm like, but yet I was, I got so many letters, so I just play for free and all that kind of stuff. You don't forget that kind of stuff.
Right.
That stuff is hurtful.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show. And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Okay, how desperate is Trump getting? Now these fools are claiming Vice President Kamala Harris is using artificial intelligence to make the size of her rally crowds look bigger than they are. Oh, yeah. Last week's rally in Detroit Metro Airport had about 15,000 people. Trump says the Harris-Walz campaign faked the size of the crowds. This idiot posted this on social media. Has anyone noticed that Kamala cheated at the airport? There was nobody at the plane, and she AI'd it and showed a massive crowd of so-called followers, but they didn't exist. She was turned in by a maintenance worker at the airport when he noticed the fake crowd picture, but there was nobody there. Later confirmed by the reflection of the minor-like finish on the vice presidential plane. She's a cheater. She had nobody waiting, and the crowd looked like 10,000 people. Okay, so the crowd was a fake, and it wasn't 15, but the people didn't exist, but it was 10,000 people. I told y'all that boy dumb. Go to my iPad. Y'all want to see fake? These are photos the Trump campaign has been putting up. So this fool here, this Sharika, whoever the hell she is, they are afraid of black women supporting Trump because when we do, we drop the Hood Rat Act, and the left hates classy women. We also hate women with 6 fingers. We also hate women with 4 fingers. We also hate when you got a left hand on the hip of a person who's on her rights. Y'all, Lord have mercy. See this other fake hand? This is a white hand. Oh, so Donald Trump arm, y'all, come on. Want to see fake as well? Ain't nobody in this photo. Y'all, come on. Y'all know damn well Donald Trump. Come on, y'all. Look at this here. Fake, 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 fake. Y'all want to know how they fake? What camera she looking at? She looking into the camera. She looking to the wrong camera. Right camera. He looking to the, y'all, come on. This boy is faker than a $28 bill. A Congo, they really think we dumb. Come on. First of all, Trump ain't had that many black people hanging around him since his rally in Tulsa. And hell, he killed a few of them, including Herman Cain, because of COVID.
Oh, man. Yeah, you ain't never lie, Roland. Yo, but they do think we're that stupid. And there are people out there who are really going to buy that and say, wow, I guess black people do roll with him. And, you know, I heard the sister who had Essence this morning, you know, on Morning Joe, and she was like, yo, y'all got to stop falling for this nonsense about black men and women being divided. I mean, clearly, as we see evidence with the calls you have been organizing, Roland, black men have been behind Kamala Harris, just like we were behind Obama and so on and so forth. The biggest concerns are white men and women as it relates to who's going to support her. But they keep throwing out these things to say, wow, look at this image. Trump has supported black men. Look at this image. Trump has supported black people. So I'm sick of the laziness and just outright lack of fact-checking that many of these media outlets are doing just to sell some type of narrative about black men not supporting Kamala Harris. And when it comes to the larger picture of the AI crowds and everything, this was a man who said he had more people at his rally than the March on Washington. And again, going back to lazy journalism and the like, none of these people are challenging him. And I understand that there's certain value in letting him ramble because it gives us more fodder. But at some point, people have to understand that this man lives in a delusional world. He's a delusional individual and he's dangerous for the country, but they are just comfortable giving him this type of airtime for lies, for outright lies. And none of these Republicans are challenging him, but I'm glad we got the Black Star Network here to set the record straight and maybe some other networks out there. But this man is spiraling, and it would be funny if it wasn't so dangerous for the country.
This is pretty interesting here, Renita. Somebody put this up. This is not the actual account of Tim Walz, but I thought it was pretty funny. It's time to come clean. The Kamala Harris campaign created me with AI to make Donald Trump feel insecure and J.D. Vance feel like a real boy. They are having so much fun mocking these idiots.
They are, and that kind of sounds like something Tim Walz would say. But to your point, I mean, it's kind of crazy. They are so desperate in this campaign. And correct me if I'm wrong, one of the ways that you know that they are so desperate in this campaign is because we are literally seeing things happen this time around when he's running that I don't remember happening the first time he ran. So, for example, the Arizona mayor, the Mesa, Arizona mayor, who's a Republican, endorsed Kamala and said he's going to vote for Kamala and is really working for the vice president's campaign to get her reelected. The first time around when he ran, many folks who were sick of him, they just said nothing. They did not go as far as to endorse the Democrat candidate. They just kind of stood by and said nothing. This time, you have got people willing to proactively show that they are completely sick of his nonsense, and it just happens to be a lot of Republicans. So they are completely desperate. They don't know what to do. As I said before a couple of weeks ago, they've spent all this money attacking President Biden, and now he's not even even the nominee anymore, and now they're struggling to get something that will stick to Kamala and Tim Walz, and they have nothing. And so they're resorting to calling things AI. But what is not AI is, like I mentioned before, Republican mayors and even members of his own family coming out to say, the last thing I would do is actually vote for Donald Trump.
I absolutely love the fact that they are losing their minds. And so I say keep hitting them. There was a column earlier. Ezra Klein made this point. It was in the New York Times. He said the Biden team actually made Trump bigger. He said the Harris team, they're making him small. They are so under his skin. They don't know what to do, Julian, and I love it. I mean, and that's what you do. You irritate his little silly ass. And you mock everything. You mock everything about him. And I remember there was a clip where he got mad, I don't like people laughing at me. Oh my God. Please keep laughing at him.
Yeah, all together now. Ha, 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 ha. I mean, Roland, this is the kind of stuff you can't make up. I mean, it is truly totally absurd. He's obsessed with crowd size. And clearly, Kamala is just pulling the people in, but he's obsessed with crowd size. His own people, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, used to be Speaker of the House. They told him, can you just stick to the issues? But the fact is that he's losing it, so he doesn't remember what the issues are. All he remembers is, let me attack, attack, attack. And the reason why Vice President Harris and Tim Walz are getting such play is both because they're better, but also because their energy is so much more positive. You've got this dour old man who scowls his way through a rally, who lies 130 sometimes in 60 minutes, 2 lies a minute. Like Pete Buttigieg says, he wins the lying Olympics. So you got this dour old man who's mad as hell at everybody. And then you've got this young, vital, attractive, dancing sister. And you've got Tim Walz, who reminds you of like everybody's favorite uncle with the little sweaters he wears. And they give out a good vibe. And he just gives out, I don't want to be in the room with that. That's literally what he gives out. And so that's why people are coming to them. Some people who disagree with their positions, they feel like we don't need to be in this negativity. And he's such a liar. He continues to paint the economy as failing. We have economic issues, especially around inflation. But our economy is not failing. Our country is not going to hell in a handbasket. How does that make people feel? How does it make people feel? We're talking about young people who have not started voting yet or not part of voting culture. And you've got this, Scrooge on one hand, and then you got this energy, the dancing VP on the other. What you gonna do?
I believe it's driving them crazy. Renita made the point about the mayor of Mesa, Arizona, Republican John Giles. He spoke at the rally she had there in Arizona. Here's what he had to say.
Thank you. I am the very proud mayor of Mesa, Arizona, but thank you. But I have to say, I feel maybe a little out of place today, partly because we're in beautiful Glendale. Okay, there's that. But as you may know, I'm a lifelong Republican. All right? Now, thank you for your warm response. I have to tell you that I do not recognize my party. It has been the Republican Party has been taken over by extremists that are committed to forcing people in the center of the political spectrum out of the party. So I have something to say to those of us who are in the political middle. You don't owe a damn thing to that political party. In particular, you do not owe anything to a party that is out of touch and is hell-bent on taking our country backward. And by all means, you owe no displaced loyalty to a candidate that is morally and ethically bankrupt. So again, to all of us, I would say, in the spirit of the great Senator John McCain, please join me in putting country over party and stopping Donald Trump and protecting the rule of law, protecting our Constitution, and protecting the democracy of this great country. That is why I'm standing with Vice President Harris and Governor Walz.
Seeing an increasing number of people do that, Renita, because they understand this. In a few moments, top of the hour, we're going to talk with a black conservative pastor out of Texas who just made it clear he simply cannot at all support Donald Trump because of integrity.
Absolutely. People are just showing one after the other that they are completely sick of his crap, and that's what it is. It's crap. They're over it. They do not want the country led by somebody who only believes that laws are for other people but not for himself. Most of the things that he advocates for are just for himself to have better or different treatment. For example, not being held accountable when he commits crimes, but then for everyone else, it's law and order, lock them up. So, I mean, people are just really this election season seeing through a lot of what he's got going on, and both him and J.D. Vance are people who are completely desperate. They are weird. I think it's phenomenal that Tim Walz started that, campaign to start calling them weird, because that is what everybody is thinking, looking at them. They are so weird in the things that they talk about. They're becoming completely unraveled in the face of not knowing what to do with this campaign and just being completely desperate. And it's just obvious to everybody. And so people are jumping ship left and right. As it relates to even people who have been lifelong Republicans, they are saying, listen, this is at a point where it's completely unattainable, and please don't support this man.
Video has been circulating all weekend, Amakongo, of Mark Cuban just owning Vivek Ramaswamy, talking about how unethical Donald Trump really, really is. Listen to this.
It's ethics. The man told Mike Pence not to certify the election. The man called the Secretary of State, or was it governor, I forget, and asked for 11,072 votes. The man has stolen from more hardworking Americans.
You were against Trump in 2016, though. You were against Trump in 2016.
Right, but he was unethical then, and he's still unethical.
And in 20, right.
That's right, but that's the whole point. I actually started off supporting Donald, and then I got to know him better.
When did you support him?
Like 2015, I was like, he's great. He's he's not a typical Stepford candidate. I thought that was a positive.
I would think that's a positive, right? A business guy who's pretty practical,
but then I got to know
not
him.
ideological.
Then I got to Trump University, Trump Soho, stole $4 million from a friend of mine that had sued to get it back. Mike Pence, 40 out of 44 people.
Just take a look at the 4 years, because each of these are just going to be separate sort of personal attack rabbit holes. Look at the country in those 4 years.
No, they're not personal attack rabbit holes. They're legitimate things that actually happen.
So do you think the country, do you think the economy prospered and border crossing issues were far better under Donald Trump under those 4 years than they've been in the last 4 years? You disagree on that premise too.
No, because if you look at border crossing, what was Obama's nickname? The deporter in chief. Mm-hmm. If you look at actual crossings, they were lower under Obama, and when Obama came in, they were higher, and he continued to lower them until the last couple months. On the economy, Obama took a fucked up economy and improved it, and Trump inherited that, right? And actually, inflation grew by 25% under Trump over Obama. The one certainty about the office of the President of the United States is the complete uncertainty, that you have no idea what comes next. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, and so in my mind, and I think a lot of people's minds that oppose Donald Trump, is that you want somebody there that is educated on the world, but more importantly, just is ethical, right? So that they make ethical decisions. You want somebody when there is no precedent, it's never happened before. You want somebody that has hired not people who are most loyal, like Tony Soprano might have done, but hired the very best people. And those people want to stay and work for them, not that they're loyal. You want somebody whose first inclination is not to do what's in their own best personal interest.
So
right?
can I just say—
You can't deny that's Donald Trump. It's just like a CEO of a company. Would you hire somebody that has a long history of stealing from people, of being unethical?
I'll tell you,
you would not, and you know it.
Is Donald Trump a perfect person? No, he is not. Am I a perfect
we're not
person?
talking about
I'm not.
minimal
Are you a perfect person?
No,
You're not.
No,
But we have to
we're
ask
not talking
ourselves,
about
who's the actual best
have
president
you ever stolen money?
we have right now? I've never stolen money from anybody, no.
Either have I. Right? Have you ever had a company?
I have no evidence to say that Donald Trump has either.
Oh, I do for sure. Ask Barbara Corcoran, right? You know, she had to sue to get her money back. Ask anybody from Trump University. Ask people who bought condos in Trump Soho. Ask people from, Trump Foundation that gave money there. Ask people who are giving money today, and he's using that money for his legal fees. So, this isn't like a little discretion. This is a habit.
Mark,
That's why I can't support him.
Look,
you were talking about ethics. You would not. Have you ever told any of your employees to short pay a vendor just to try to save some money? No. Either have I.
What you saw right there, Makongo, was Vivek giving all excuses and denying the reality how grossly unethical Donald Trump is.
And this is what happens when these guys get in front of real people, real journalists, real activists, real business folks who actually know what they're talking about and don't give these guys a pass. And this is why some of these guys got as far as they did, because they keep talking in audiences where they don't get challenged. But once people shine that light on him, Vivek has nothing for him. I mean, we're talking about people turning on Trump. Who is more prominent out there in the conservative spaces than New York Times opinion writer David French, whose latest piece says, to save conservatism from itself, I am voting for Harris. And then says later on, people say he's not, are you real conservative still? He says, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris in 2024. And ironically enough, I'm doing it in part to try to save conservatism. And this goes specifically to Renita's point that in 2020, some people were just like, okay, I'm just not getting involved. Now they're actively getting involved. And I do believe it's just a matter of time before Chris Christie and Liz Cheney come out for Harris as well, because these guys are saying, look, we want to have the ability to be able to fight over our opinions, and that's not going to happen under this guy. So these guys, the mayor of Mesa and these guys who are taking a stand, they need to be applauded. And one thing none of us are seeing, we are not seeing any Democrats for Trump organizations out there in any way, shape, or form. They are circling the wagons too, and I'm glad to see it, because we got to shine a light on all of this nonsense and darkness that they're putting out there.
You know, I think here again, this is why I think you're seeing the reaction from people to the campaign of Vice President Kamala Harris. Julian, they're sick of the doom and gloom and, oh my God, the world is ending. That's all you hear from those idiots, Trump and Vance, how awful and pathetic things are when they are not. And so I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing people respond the way they are. But the bottom line is supporting this man is supporting somebody who's grossly unethical.
Unethical, incompetent, and insane. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist and I don't play one on TV, but seriously, when you listen to this man, does any of this make any sense? And I think also people are very tired of the level of insults that are now just what we do in politics. How many times did he call this woman a low IQ individual? I mean, that's not necessary. He can disagree with her positions. He can attack her on reasonable things to attack her on, not calling her out of her name. But low IQ individual, that's his shorthand for he does not trust, he does not respect, first of all, Black people and Black women. That's his shorthand for that, because we know, those of us who are African American and have accomplished something, that's a slur that racists use when they can't have a conversation with you. Instead, they have to have a conversation about your IQ But you're right, Roland. People are sick of him. They're sick of the negativity. They're sick of the nonsense. And Republicans who love their party, despite it all, are turning on him because he has literally ruined the Republican Party. He's turned them into a bunch of lemmings who he says the sky is yellow, and they say, oh, yeah, as opposed to saying, excuse me, dude, the sky is blue. So when you look at that Congress, you look at Mike Johnson, even McCarthy has turned against him after he dogged McCarthy, and McCarthy went down to Mar-a-Lago with his hat in his hand. But now he's come back and said, can't do it. So you're looking at increasing numbers of Republicans who their deep hidden integrity is coming up because, I remember Rockefeller Republicans. They were fiscally conservative and socially liberal. Do you have anything like that anymore? You have these people who basically would ruin the country for one man. It's one man. It's not the party. It's this one man, but they are going lockstep behind him. So, but good news is there. People are resisting. My smile of the day was learning that AOC is basically, I think, she's filed articles of impeachment on your uncle, Roland. People are fighting back, but I hope that we fight back soon enough to save this country from Project 2025 and for a Trump victory in 2024. And even if he loses, as President Biden has said, he's going to come up with shenanigans. That's why some of his AI stuff and other stuff, he said Kamala's cheating. It's not, he is crazy. Okay, well, but also he's planting seeds of doubt of the minds of some of those people who drank the Kool-Aid a long time ago and will come back in November and say, well, she cheated. So, we've got to be very careful.
Couple of things just in. A judge has ruled that Robert Kennedy Jr. can stay on the ballot in North Carolina, but in New York State, a judge just ruled that he is not a resident of that state and his name will not be on the ballot. He had claimed that he was living in this, room in this house, knowing damn well he was living in a mansion with his wife in California. Well, the judge is like, nah, player, you don't live here. So he's been booted from the ballot in New York State. We'll see what happens next. All right, y'all, gonna go to a break. We come back. We're gonna talk with a black pastor in Texas. Fair to say, if you want to, he's a conservative pastor. And he has shocked a lot of folks by making it clear he absolutely cannot support Donald Trump and will be casting his ballot for Vice President Kamala Harris. I will talk with Pastor Dwight McKissick next, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. It's a rare occasion when a course taught in high school becomes a topic of national conversation, let alone a burning controversy. But that's exactly what happened with Advanced Placement African American Studies, courtesy of a certain Southern governor who's taking offense. On our next show, we take you inside the classroom for an up-close look at the course through the eyes of the teachers that teach it, the students that are taking it, and the communities that surround them.
And so many of the kids we saw, the truth. And you know, it just impacts those kids in such a big way.
A master teacher roundtable on the next Black Table that you do not want to miss, right here on the Black Star Network.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Prouder.
Right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
All right, folks, white conservatives whiting on C-SPAN, on Washington Journal C-SPAN. Ann Coulter said the vice president was not a foundational black when host Peter Singh addressed Donald Trump's claim the vice president happened to turn black while running for office. Trump, of course, made those comments at the National Association of Black Journalists. Coulter said that laws created to make up for the legacy of slavery and being twisted to discriminate against white people in the name of diversity to the advantage of recent immigrants. Listen to this fool.
In a recent Substack column, Ann Coulter, you wrote that probably inadvertently and for all the wrong reasons, Donald Trump made an important point when he said of the Democrats' most recent presidential nominee, she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. Why do you say that was an important point?
Well, I write about this a little bit in my book, Mugged, about racial demagoguery, and also in Adios America about immigration. And that is, the important point he should have made is that the entire purpose of affirmative action, set-asides, civil rights laws, laws that limit constitutional rights to freedom of contract, freedom of association, all of that was to make up for the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow. So unless these benefits are going to, roughly defined, foundational black Americans, the descendants of American slaves, you've taken away the whole purpose of this. And that is exactly what's happened once we got this huge load of immigrants. Now, a Thai who arrived on Wednesday will get an advantage applying to college, applying to corporations over a heterosexual white male in particular. That's the biggest hate group. But any white American. And all of the civil rights laws have been, and affirmative action and so on, have been twisted into just anti-white hatred and open, egregious discrimination. So to make the point that Kamala isn't a foundational black American, I'm always pointing out to black people, hey, have you noticed Indians are getting all the good diversity jobs? What did we do to Indians? We didn't enslave them. I mean, most of these immigrants coming in, 90% of legal immigrants are from the third world. And mostly we've just run around saving them from earthquakes and tornadoes and coups and starvation. They owe us. We don't owe them. But to switch from the concept of integration and civil rights for black Americans to this BS-y diversity, it's nothing but discrimination against white people. And that point should be made not just to, as I think Trump is always thinking, oh, he's going to win the black vote. He's not going to win the black vote. You ought to do things because they're the right thing to do, not because this is an appeal to black people, like releasing criminals. He thinks he's going to get the black vote by being soft on crime. Anyway, not only to point out to black Americans that their history is being stolen by immigrants, but to remind white Americans that this whole diversity thing is just discrimination against them. You still want to vote for the Democrats?
All you're hearing her do, Julianne, Makongo, and Renita, is parrot these FBA people. They've been on social media the last several years doing the exact same thing. And frankly, let's be real clear, many of them are standing with Donald Trump. They are there. They are ops. They're there to be disruptive. And what's also ridiculous is that when these fools start talking to Renita, you're complaining about where the boat dropped people off. This notion that Haitians, Jamaicans, and others were not impacted by slavery is pretty stupid.
Yeah, Ann Coulter, number one, let me just say this. I don't know what it is about election season that makes white people feel like they can weigh in on who is black and who is not. But PSA, there's never a good time for you to weigh in on this topic. You have no right to weigh in on this topic. This does not concern you. Ann Coulter needs to mind her business. This has nothing to do with you or a community that you've ever been a part of and that you know anything about. So I don't know what it is about election time, but every time this is what happens every 4 years. They are weighing in on who is black and trying to cause division. And like you said, Roland, it's mostly just Republicans ear hustling on the internet, looking at the comments of what black people are discussing amongst our own community, and then trying to use that to score election points, trying to use that to bring more people to vote for Republicans. And it is something that really black folks should not fall for, should not fall for, because we see over and over again where they ear hustle on the internet and then they come out and try to make it seem like they are so in tune with our community. And then some folks will say, oh, well, they really understand us. Maybe I should, maybe they do have something in their platform for black folks. No, they don't. This all boils down to ear hustling, and nobody should be fooled by it.
Makongo?
Look, at the end of the day, they feel like they can tell us who we are, but don't want to have a conversation about everything that they've done to change or expand whiteness in order to keep some form of majority. Remembering the fact that Irish people were not white when they got here, Italian people were not white when they got here. Even at certain points, they made people from certain Asian countries white. So they always try to make this race thing fluid, as I talk about in my book, Lies About Black People, to try to keep their numbers growing. And then they want to continue to try to dilute our population by throwing out terms like BIPOC and all of these things. And similar to what Renita was saying, they feel at election time they can tell us who we are. But the fact of the matter is, black is international. We're not talking about African American. That's a birthplace. Black is an international thing that people need to fully understand. And this goes to our last segment of dividing black men and women. They cannot divide us as black people. And the more we stand up and the more we coalesce around Kamala Harris, who has been black all her life, as we are defined in our community, the fact of the matter is we will continue to push back. And Ann Coulter, just listen to her. She starts talking about Thai people and then goes to quote unquote straight white men being taken their jobs. So what, all Thai people are gay now? Like, they have no concept of what they're talking about. So all they have is insults, and all they have is terms to disparage people of diverse backgrounds because they hate it and they don't know their history, which is why she can't talk about the fact that affirmative action benefited white women more than anybody else. They're ignorant, they're foolish, and they're dangerous, and we need to continue to call them out because we have the facts and history on our side.
And another reason why I don't listen to any of them FBA people, Julian.
Well, Ann Coulter is a certified public nut. My history with her goes back to my old CNN days. And she not only is she conservative, but she's also irrational. She's extraordinarily irrational. And this argument she makes about what is a foundational black person as opposed to an unfoundational black person? Has she ever taken a history class that discussed the Middle Passage, the transatlantic slave trade? Kamala's dad, Don Harris, who's an economist, he's Jamaican. But the same ship that stopped basically in Virginia probably eased on down the road, to Jamaica. So she doesn't know what she's talking about. But it is, as Makongo just said, it's a divide and conquer tactic that some black people are going to play into. There's this group of people called ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves. And they about as crazy as Ann Coulter. They believe that the only people who deserve reparations are the ones who can prove their enslaved lineage. Well, that's nonsense. Well, as Makongo says, we need to come together, not fall apart, and we need to be very clear. Economic injustice was done to all of us, and we all need to get reparations because of it. But Ann Coulter, I don't even know why she's still around, but she's a nut. She's a nut, and she's an anti-black nut at that.
Yep, that's absolutely the case. All right, y'all, going to a break. We come back. Pastor in Texas, conservative, tweets out, I cannot support Donald Trump. Oh, Lord, the white evangelicals are just losing, the white conservative evangelicals are just losing their mind. Well, he's going to join us next to explain why he's backing Vice President Kamala Harris. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Next on The Black Table with me, Greg Carr. It's a rare occasion when a course taught in high school becomes a topic of national conversation, let alone a burning controversy. But that's exactly what happened with Advanced Placement African American Studies, courtesy of a certain Southern governor who's taking offense. On our next show, we take you inside the classroom for an up-close look at the course through the eyes of the teachers that teach it, the students that are taking it, and the communities that surround them.
And so many of the kids we saw, the truth. And, it just impacts those kids in such a big way.
A master teacher roundtable on the next Black Table that you do not want to miss, right here on the Black Star Network.
It's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
This is your boy, Earthquake.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back. So I was perusing social media earlier today, and I'm always looking at different tweets and stuff along those lines. So then I came across some tweets by Dwight McKissick, Pastor Dwight McKissick, out of Arlington, Texas. I've known Pastor McKissick for years, of course, when I was working down there as a journalist. And he posted this on his social media. And I said, man, let's get him on the show to explain. And he lays out here that he's never publicly or in his pulpit endorsed a presidential nominee. He talked about, other candidates and Mike Huckabee, when he spoke at his church. He said, of course, as a private citizen, he has a right to endorse, again, not in his pulpit. You have, of course, 501c3 status. He's talked about people like Governor Rick Perry and others who've been there. He said he stood with George W. Bush to pass a constitutional ban on same-sex marriage in Texas. And he said no SBC evangelical counsel will encourage me to distance myself from George W. Bush. He talked about other Republicans he stood with. Then he says, I face backlash and criticism from certain segments of the Black community, but never from the white evangelical community. I spoke admirably and appreciatively regarding the candidacy of Sarah Palin. Again, absolutely no evangelical cautions or counsel was given, only a segment of Black rejection and backlash. Now that I see merit and value as a private citizen to reach the conviction and conclusion that Kamala Harris is far better qualified and consequently be a better president, white evangelicals and a handful of Blacks are screaming, I shouldn't do this. My mother raised me to be much stronger than this. Just like I dismiss Black pressure to distance myself from or not speak approvingly of Huckabee, Perry, Bush, Palin, and Daddy Bush, I'm not going to succumb to the pressure to distance myself from evangelicals for Harris. For my mother, who lived in a season where the glass ceiling was impossible to break through, particularly for Black women. And for my God, who may have chosen this election and Kamala Harris to symbolically and representatively receive the recompense and reward for all women of colors, all colors, of all political parties to break the glass ceiling before the whole world. I feel compelled as a citizen, not as a pastor, to publicly support Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, particularly when I see the alternative as extremely detrimental to the best interest and goal towards one nation under God with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Dwight McKissick joins us right now out of Arlington, Texas. Doc, glad to have you back on the show. I thought this was interesting because I have been seeing folks like Charlie Kirk and Eric Erickson and others saying, how dare Christians vote for Kamala Harris? You are not a real Christian if you don't support Donald Trump. And you are like, whatever.
I think it's ridiculous for John Mack and Al Mohler and others to assert that to vote for a Democrat. This is a secular election. Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world." I don't know that you could place sin or immorality on whatever person or party, independent kind of category you might vote for. Cornelius, what is his name? Dr. Cornel West is running for that matter. I don't think it's fair or sensible to try and sanctify the voting as some persons or party from a moral or a spiritual point of view are the kind of person or party you cannot vote for. I think that's totally unfair, and Black people are not buying that. We will not be controlled by that.
In fact, again, this was a tweet that Kirk shot out. Dear Christians, vote like your lives, your values, and your children's futures depended on it, because they do. Make a plan to vote. If we don't show up, the void will be filled by those who hate your faith and despise our values. Vote. Now, of course, he leads Turning Point USA, and let's just say they've had a lot of racists in that organization over the years. So I guess he skipped that part of the Christian values.
Yeah, the purpose obviously is to manipulate and control. 3 times over the past 40 years, Republicans have had charge of the White House, Congress, and the Supreme Court, and they did little to nothing to try to enact a constitutional ban against abortion or same-sex marriage, yet they campaigned and got a lot of votes on those bases. A lot of Black folk. We thought, hey, I really believe that life begins at conception and that innocent unborn life in the womb ought to be protected. That's just my belief. I also believe that marriage ought to be between a man and a woman. If they were going to prioritize and really canonize that as law, I felt no shame in my game to vote for that. But after 40 years, you still trying to sell me and others to vote for your party under that guise. But now under Trump, they have abandoned the platform planks that oppose abortion and oppose same-sex marriage. That's whatever rules of some kind of moral superiority they were arguing before, they gave it away to Donald Trump. And so I see no basis why a competent, efficient, articulate, experienced person, lady like Madam Kamala Harris, a believer anybody else, should definitely feel free to vote in that direction without any sense of having denied the faith, as Al Mohler would argue, or the stewardship of the vote, or the discipleship of the vote, all that kind of language just to ensure that white males reign supreme and the Republican Party remains supreme.
You tweeted this, and I want to read this, and I want you to expound. You said, I endorse Kamala Harris because if my choice is to choose between the cumulative governance experience between Harris and Trump, Harris wins hands down. If I have to choose between one who embraced the January 6 rioters and who promises to pardon them if reelected, versus one who sees January 6 as the most dangerous threat to our democracy we've ever experienced in American history, I will choose Harris, who recognizes January 6 for what it was, an attack on American democracy, an attempted coup. You later say she has more sense, more education, more experience, more respect for the Constitution, and has the capacity to bring America together as one nation, while we all hold to our convictions and political opinions under God in ways Trump could never do or desires to do. And then you close it out by saying, I'm convinced she won't be insulting, insensitive, demeaning, disrespectful, and ridicule people or persons in the way Trump does. And that's important to me. She will not offer immunity to police on the heels of a clearly unjustified murder of an innocent, unarmed Black woman, as Trump did, and that's important to me. That's the thing, Pastor McKissick, that when I watch these white conservative evangelicals, and they make excuses for January 6th, and they make excuses when he attacks people for the disabilities. The other day, he attacked John Tester. Oh my God, he had the biggest stomach I've ever seen. They revel in those things. And I just sit here and go, which part of Christianity is that?
Exactly. When you look at his personality and the well-documented racist statements and insults he's just handed out to just about everybody other than white males, and of course, if he don't like certain things about white males, he'll hand them out there. I just cannot in good conscience cast a vote for a man who has demonstrated over and over again his insensitivity and his just lack of common decency and dignity. That's beneath the office of the White House when we have the option of an articulate, intelligent, affable, accomplished person like Kamala Harris. And just over a period of time, I just reached the conclusion I cannot justify, rationalize, or defend voting for Trump, which I wasn't going to do. I would have voted third party or not vote for the presidential.
I got you. All right, hold on. Doc, just get your phone together. We'll come. Yeah, go right ahead.
Can you see me or you can hear me?
Just keep talking. We got you. Don't worry about it. We got you.
Yes. All right. Therefore, I just could not bring myself to make peace with voting for Donald Trump. And with this election being, I think, is very crucial. I can't sit this one out or vote for a third party because there's too much at stake. And that's the dignity of the entire country. We need a better ambassador representative of our nation, chief commanding officer of the military. And the more I just quantified Kamala Harris's background as prosecutor, attorney general, senator, vice president, those are some impeccable credentials. I just made peace with voting for her in spite of, I still hold to the positions of what's kind of been summarized as pro-life and traditional marriage. I will never negotiate or compromise those two principles, but neither the Republican Party no longer holds to those two principles. So that removed any hesitation I might have to support Madam Kamala Harris.
I want to go to my panel. Let's see here. Julian, I'll start with you. Your question for Pastor McKissick.
Pastor McKissick, first of all, thank you for you being so transparent. Obviously, if we had a conversation, we'd have a lot to disagree with, but I'm very excited about your support of Vice President Harris. You're getting brushback or pushback from some of your white evangelical friends. Have you actually, are they just scamming you online, or have you actually had an opportunity to talk to some of them to explain, especially what I was moved about with your letter was your references to your mother. Have you had a chance to talk to them and explain to them why you feel so connected to Vice President Harris?
I got some telephone conversation appointments lined up to have that conversation with people I respect and who say on one hand they understand, but they're disappointed because they can't get past what they see are the sins and the immorality of the Democratic Party because they never stop to quantify insults, also sinful to demean people based on inalterable factors are also sinful. So, yeah, I'm having some conversation privately about it and just let them know that these are my convictions. My mother raised me to be an independent thinker. My mother raised me to respect women. The worst whooping I ever got in my life was getting in a fight with my sister who's 1 year older, and that whooping was, I remember to this day, and my wife has been the beneficiary. Only one wife for 40-some years, but I've never put hands on her, in part due to my mama putting the worst beating on me that I ever had. So I see Donald Trump as being the very antithesis of evangelical faith and unworthy of their vote, let alone mine.
Omokongo.
Yes, Pastor, one of the questions that I have is that we see so many stories about white evangelicals and Trump, but I wanted to get your take on what's happening in the Black evangelical community as it relates to Trump. Has there always been support for Trump, and is it waning? Has there never been support? This is just something that we're not hearing anything about, so I wanted to get your take on it.
It's a mixed bag. It's not strong. I think it is waning. At the same time, there are those who belong to the Southern Baptist Convention who feels like the unwritten code of policy is that to be a true evangelical means voting Republican, and some of them are afraid to get off the plantation or to change their minds about that for fear that they will be penalized within the framework of the SBC. We're hearing some of that. And these are the people I respect who just simply look at economic policy. Hey, don't lower my taxes, and they'll vote on that kind of thing. But you're not going to respect my mama, my wife, my daughters. I really am not impressed with you lowering taxes. They would look at he would, be good for business. So they make their decisions. Some of them solely based on, as I'm sure we all know a lot of Black people in business who genuinely feel as if, and they may be true, I'm not smart enough to know, that voting Republican is better for them economically. So you do have that slice as well.
Renita.
Did I lose you all?
No, you're good. Renita?
Yes, this is a two-part question. The first part is, did you publicly denounce Trump in 2016 and 2020 when he ran? And if you did not, here's the second part. What is it that what was the last straw for you this time around? Because much of what Trump is saying this time is not very different from what he said in 2016, 2020, the talking terrible about women, being extremely racist. A lot of what he's doing is sort of the same old stuff. And the Black community, the majority of the Black community were some of the first to say, hey, this guy is not good for the country. He's terrible. Do not give him a chance. So again, did you denounce him in his previous campaigns? And if not, what is the specific final straw this time for you?
I did not vote for Trump in 2016. Honestly, I considered it because I tend to prioritize pro-life and pro-traditional marriage as worthy voting principles or motivations. And he had not abandoned those two planks in the platform at the time, but I heard an interview by a Black journalist. I wish I could call his name. I think he worked for NBC. And he asked Trump, what would he do to improve race relations? The Trump response was stop and frisk. He went through a whole ordeal about Black crime. And the question had to do solely with healing race relations. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, he must view us as criminals, that he'll answer questions about healing race relations with combating Black crime. I made up my mind that moment that I would not vote for Trump. And in 2016, I began to make peace with Hillary on the basis I thought she would be far better on the race question. And that's the first time I voted for a Democrat since Jimmy Carter in 1980. And in 1984, I voted for Ronald Reagan because at the Democratic National Convention, I heard Jesse Jackson speak affirmatively about people on Social Security in a same-sex relationship, the other person being entitled to their Social Security benefits. That knocked me over. I had no idea the Democrats were on that page. And listening to that and learning more about, and I studied both platforms and pulled out my Bible, and I reached a conclusion, at least on those social issues, I was more in tune with the Republican Party on network safety, safety issues such as, child care and housing. And justice, I related better to the Democrats. But my thing was, I'm the youngest of 9 children. My mother was graduated in May '56. I was born in June '56. My dad was poor. My mother was getting a teaching degree. Point being, my mother had every reason to abort me, and I'm so glad she did. And I don't want another black child, or Hispanic, or Asian, or white child to be aborted, because I wouldn't be on this phone with you right now if my mother had chose to abort me for economic reasons. So I fight for the protection of all lives in the womb.
Well, Pastor McKissick, I appreciate you joining us. Trust me, it's going to be quite interesting, those conversations you have with some of those white evangelicals. And so I'm sure you will be quite dropping some stuff on them that they probably ain't heard from some other places. So we appreciate you joining us on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland. God bless you. Goodbye.
All right, folks. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shots.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pretending to be Roland Martin. Holla! You ain't got to wear black and gold every damn place, okay? Ooh, I'm an alpha, yay! All right, you're 58 years old. It's over.
And you are now watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. First of all, y'all on YouTube, hit the doggone like button. A bunch of y'all sitting over there, y'all commenting, y'all ain't hit the button, so we should easily be at 3,000 likes. So let's get this thing going. In Florida, the trial for the white woman charged with fatally shooting a black mother through a door has begun. Jury selection got underway today in the Susan Lawrence murder trial. She shot Ajike A.J. Owens on June 2nd, 2023, through a locked metal door and killed her when the mother of four approached the home to confront Lawrence over throwing a pair of roller skates at her kids. Owens' children, all under the age of 13 at the time of the shooting, were at the scene when deputies arrived. Lawrence says she feared for her life. She faces a maximum penalty of 30 years in prison if convicted of manslaughter. A Pennsylvania district attorney drops the first-degree murder charges against a former Philadelphia police officer who killed a man during a traffic stop last year. Mark Dial is now facing charges of third-degree murder, voluntary manslaughter, and aggravated assault related to the August 14, 2023 killing of 27-year-old Eddie Irizarry. Dial shot and killed Irizarry shortly after Irizarry parked his car after Dial and another officer attempted to pull him over for driving the wrong way. Body cam footage shows how Dial opened fire on Irizarry in a matter of seconds of approaching the car. At the time of the shooting, officers believe Irizarry had a gun. However, he did not have a firearm. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, prosecutors were effectively forced to drop the first-degree murder charge by a judge after failing to tell Dial's attorneys about a key piece of evidence they intended to use against him at the trial. You know what, when we think about these two stories here, first I'm gonna go back to the Florida story, Renita. I mean, you know, it's outlandish when you have these stand your ground laws and then these open carry states where people sort of have this mentality that they can behave any way they want to and the law will protect them. And a lot of these conservatives, what they've done is they've done this, they've created this. They've actually made this easier for folks to shoot and kill others.
Absolutely. And to your point, the reason that these people feel like that they can just do whatever is because statistically, that is what is proved in court. So with the stand your ground laws, some states also call it the Castle Doctrine law, which basically says that if somebody is on your property, or even in the case of Lucy McBath's son at the gas station where a white man said that he felt threatened. So it doesn't even have to be your actual home or any property that you own, but if it's pretty much in your vicinity, if someone comes at you, you have the ability to stand your ground and take whatever action to protect yourself. So those are the laws. But the statistics around this show that Black people are 20 times less likely to be able to use that defense than white folks when they go to court. So statistically, the courts are telling these individuals that if they do use the most extreme form of violence over something as small as, in the case of the young mother who was killed, the first case that you mentioned, she was just knocking on her neighbor's door to see if she could get, I think it was an iPad back from one of her children that had been taken by the neighbor away from her children. And that woman decided to shoot her through the door and kill her. So the courts are telling them that this is that this is something that they can do, and that is why you continue to see it happen. So I am hopeful that in this case that there will be accountability, because we need to start setting the record straight. It should not be the case that you've got laws that apply one way for one person, but doesn't apply another way for another. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to be able to have to be able to protect themselves if they are being attacked. But in no universe is it appropriate to just say that you can completely use the level of force that this woman used in killing this young mother all over an iPad.
Makongo, this is the problem that we're facing, where you have these people, these Republican lawmakers, making it easier. You got DAs and cops who are like, don't do this because y'all are making our jobs harder. So the people who say they respect the blue, it's amazing how they ignore them when it comes to these gun laws.
Absolutely. And we can take it back to George Zimmerman as well. He's calling the police and they're saying, don't intervene, don't intervene. Oh, I'm tired of these guys getting away with stuff when the young man was just walking home. We can also talk about the situation with Ralph Yarl as well, the incredible student who's dealing with this. And the challenge with these two stories, Roland, is that it's like we're getting it coming and going. So we have the situation with what the police are doing, and then we have people who are regular citizens who feel like they are deputized to do whatever they want against Black people. And this woman doesn't even go chasing for Black people. She just shoots through her door, similar to the case with Ralph Yarl as well. And we have the marches and we fight and we hope for justice and the like, but these are still people who are not coming home. These are still people who, these kids who were all under 13 at the time, will never see again. And this is the challenge. And this is what people have to understand when we talk about Black Lives Matter, because in so many instances, they just do not. They matter here and they matter in our communities. But we have to make sure that when we're talking about this election, it's all connected, because we can vote in leadership that's going to put incentive structures in place that's going to make people feel like they can't just shoot through the door, that they can't just shoot an unarmed Black person, that they can't just hunt somebody down and do what happened in Georgia as well. We have to make sure every single day that we're fighting for this. And my hope is that the more that these stories, and I was talking about Arbery earlier, and my hope is that the more these things get televised and the more officials we get in who can actually, as Dr. King said, you can't legislate morality, but you can regulate behavior. These cases start to make these things go down, because we're losing too many people of all backgrounds, of all ages in our community because of situations like this.
Julian?
This woman who killed, shot through the door. First of all, there's no justification for shooting through a door. Again, as Renita said, over an iPad, but there's no justification for that, number one. Number two, this woman had she's called the police 8 or 9 times in her neighborhood. Others talked about her as a nuisance neighbor. There has to be something one can do. She probably was J.D. Vance's best friend, child cat lady. neither here nor there, and that wasn't nice. Neither here nor there. The bottom line is that we have a slogan that Black Lives Matter, but the reality is that Black life is cheap. Black life is cheap in the eyes of the law. People very rarely have to deal with the consequences of their action. I bet you this lady's go plead elderly. You're almost speechless, but then again, you're not. This is a pattern in this country. It's been happening since we got here. Callous killings of Black people for reasons real or imagined. She was fearful of her life from some children. Give me a break. What she was she was steeped in caucasity, and she believed she could get away with it because guess what? Omakonga was right. Folks like her have been getting away with it since we've been here. So I hope that they throw the book at her. The police in Philly, again, that's not unusual. We see this every day. The question is when, not our Black people or people of color, but when is our nation going to rise up and say, this is enough? We're tired of young people being shot, mothers being shot, joggers being shot, primarily because of the color of their skin.
Well, they don't mind it because it's not them. And then when all of a sudden it happens to them, then attitudes change. And so, look, we keep saying it, until these white women, these white mothers and others stand up, like what happened in Tennessee, you're not going to see any of these changes. And look, we saw what happened after Sandy Hook. They didn't do anything when kids were slaughtered. Oh, no. They got to feel maximum pressure. But it's not just protesting. They have to feel it at the ballot box. All right, folks, which brings me to this. So my frat brother, Matthew Bradford, hit me up and said, hey, man, I want to see you in this shirt. So there's a sister who is out of Florida. So she made this shirt. It's called Dacia's Designs. She's an AKA there. And so Dacia has her company. And so, of course, everybody's talking about my black job. She sent me this here. My black job is voting. And so she's selling this shirt. And we get a promo code. If you use the promo code ROLLIN', you get a discount on the shirt. And so if y'all want to get this shirt, man, absolutely get it. Go to DACIASDESIGNS.com. Dacia'sDesigns.com. Again, use the promo code ROLLIN' if you want to get this shirt. And if any of y'all get this shirt, take a picture, post it on social, and I'll be sure to show it right here on the show. So go to Dacia'sDesigns.com to get my hashtag Black Job is Voting t-shirt. And yes, she did it in the right colors, black and gold. But you ain't gonna wear black and gold. She has it in all divine nine. First of all, calm your little self down, Julian. Okay? Calm your ass down. Okay?
All I said is it would have been nice in red and white.
First of all, if you calm your ass down, and let me tell you, she got it in other colors. Golly. See? Y'all don't know how to just, well, baby, nice. And yes, she has it in other colors. She has it in all divine nine colors and other type colors as well. So just letting y'all know, if y'all get the shirt, use a promo code and say, man, nice, it had it in other colors. See, y'all just gonna make me cuss. You just want
to cuss.
No, you're gonna make me cuss by going there. So yes, there are multiple colors. She's out of Atlanta, so y'all can check it out. They got different colors, different color schemes. You can get the shirt. You see right there all the different colors right there. They got pink and green. They got red and white. They got purple and gold. They got blue and white. They got all the colors. Y'all can get them there. But we all know the best looking color is black and gold. So get y'all My Black Job is Voting t-shirts, and I want to see y'all rock it. And so, Dacia, I appreciate you sending me this shirt. Matthew, I appreciate you connecting me with her as well. And so, y'all, use the promo code ROLLIN'. We'll be right back.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
I still have my NFL contract in my house, having a case.
It's 4 of them for my 4-year contract. I got a $600,000 signing bonus. My base salary for that first year was $150,000. Matter of fact,
$150,000.
$150,000. That's what I made, $150,000. Now think about it. My signing bonus was a forgivable loan, supposedly. When I got traded to the Colts, they made me pay back my signing bonus to them. I had to give them their $600,000 back.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so pissed. Because, I try to be a man of my word. I'm like, you, I'll give you your money back. Even though I know I earned that money,
right.
I gave them money back. I gave them $600,000 back. But yet, I was this malcontent. I was a bad guy. I'm about the money. It wasn't about the money. It was about doing right. Because I looked at, because you look at contract. Look at John Elway. God, John Elway was making $1 million, $800,000. I was making $150,000. I was doing everything. And I'm like, but yet I got so many letters, so I just play for free and all that kind of stuff. You don't forget that kind of stuff.
Right.
That stuff is hurtful.
Hi, my name is Freddie Ricks. I'm from Houston, Texas.
My name is Sharon Williams. I'm from Dallas, Texas.
Right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
All right, how many times have y'all had to tell people regarding this election, well, I just told Julian, calm your ass down. How many times have you tell people, I need y'all to woosah, I need you to breathe, I need you to relax. It's amazing how there are people who literally every day, oh my God, you see the new poll? No, I didn't. Why? Because it's a snapshot in time. I'm not about to go crazy. But it's real. Joining us right now is licensed clinical psychologist, Dr. Raquel Martin, joining me now from Nashville, Tennessee. Doc, it is a trip how some people, they every day, every event, every speech, every press release, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna need you to chill out, calm down. It's 80 some odd days. You gotta pace yourself.
Yeah, I will tell you the same thing I tell my husband when he says that. Never in the history of calming down has telling someone to calm them down as well. So it's easier said than done for most people.
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, my whole staff knows my absolute favorite phrase is, I'm gonna need you to calm your ass down.
I'm sure your staff loves that. I'm sure that's their favorite phrase.
That's my favorite, because I'm telling you, I don't, like when stuff gets crazy, I actually, it's like people think, oh my God, Roland, you're just energy. No, when stuff gets crazy, I actually get quieter, calm. I've been in 3 car accidents and I was literally like, you okay? Like not freaking out. So I'm always like, in a moment of anxiety, you actually need to calm down and bring yourself down and just think and process versus just constantly just hyping yourself up where you're hyperventilating. That's just.
I agree. And I think for this election, as well as a lot of individuals are stressed out, not only because of the depth of the decisions, but also a lot of these decisions are based in and rooted in historical and ongoing oppression. But what you're mentioning is perfect. Like a lot of people need to take the time to focus on some kind of grounding techniques. You say that you take a breath, you see if everything's okay. I think that's very important. I also tell people to balance their news intake and curate their sources. You also shouldn't trust every single news source that you're listening to. So one of the things is, one, you're having constant exposure, but you're also not curating the sources where you're getting the news from, which is going to increase your anxiety exponentially.
So people think I'm lying, but I'm not. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch MSNBC. I damn sure don't watch Fox. I don't watch ABC. I don't watch NBC. I don't watch CBS. There might be a clip. I might see something on social, but I'm not sitting here watching a whole hour show. I'm not sitting here driving myself crazy. because one, you can be so consumed. For me, it's about thinking. I'm always telling people, I need you to breathe. I need you to breathe and just bring yourself down because, again, the election is in 80 some odd days.
Yeah.
You've got voter registration deadlines coming up. So I'm like, yo, just understand no election is won today. You do all that you can. You check with the people around you, make sure they're registered. You make sure they're voting. You give them facts. You give them information. You do it that way. But just going crazy over what might happen. That's probably for me. Oh, my God, if he wins, chill. We can make sure he doesn't win. But trying to go there in August just makes no sense to me.
Well, yeah, and I think other people can find a way to harness their anxiety as a motivator for change, right? Like the same way you mentioned, like, okay, so how do we make sure that he doesn't win? One of the stressors is feeling like you have no control over this. So why don't you harness your anxiety as a motivator for change? Get involved with organizations that are advocating for individuals being able to vote and have the ability to get out. So get involved with Urban League or the NAACP or Black Voters Matter. If you feel like you're feeling helpless in this moment, think about how you're going to use that helplessness and change it into power.
Oh, absolutely. Questions from the panel. I'm going to Congo you first. And
Dr. Martin,
and Doc, we already know what he does. He does hot-ass yoga.
Yes, I do. That's right. BikramYogaWorks.com. Come on through, get in the hot room with your boy. And look, hey, it works. And so I advise everyone to get involved. Dr. Martin, my question for you is, I've seen so much in the news about the Harris and Walz campaign and this idea of bringing back the joy. Is that something that you have seen as a reason that people should continue to stay involved because they can now do it in a space where they can campaign and be happy as opposed to campaigning with the doom and gloom about some coming anarchy? Do you feel a different kind of vibe in the country right now, or is it just us who consume news every day?
I'm be honest, the vibe that I feel is there's a lot of Black women who are preparing themselves to be attacked in a way that they've probably never been attacked before in life, because I think people underestimate how much individuals do not like us and just bracing themselves for that. And I'm also like, I'm from Philly. I'm a very East Coast person. I can see the aspect of joy, but I more so see it as you do what you have to do. you get out there and you have action, and it doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy every single aspect of it. So I would say more people are actually experiencing resistance fatigue. They're exhausted. They know they got to put in some work, but they're also getting numb to the work that they have to put in. That's why it's important to kind of take a step back, because if you're in it so much, you start to become numb to all the things and you can't even critically think. News is meant to be a resource, but you're also supposed to use your critical thinking as well. I hope a lot of people have joy in it. But I can see a lot of people being more stressed than anything if they feel hopeless and if they're not trying to figure out a way to get involved. You feel like everything's out of your hands, and that's anxiety producing in the first place. I mean, nobody walks around with their eyes over their hands over their eyes. You want to see where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. Renita.
Thanks for being on the show, Dr. Martin. As a former elected official, I pay more attention to what elected officials are doing than the voters. Not that I don't pay attention to the voters, but I really am honed in on what elected officials are doing, because far too often the accountability is missed for elected officials about how they contribute to some of this stuff. So my question is, don't you think that both parties are in this sort of cycle of every time there's an election telling the voters that every election is the end of the world? Isn't that contributing to, do you think that potentially is contributing to some folks who already experience anxiety and live with anxiety on many different issues that they deal with in their life? Maybe that is also contributing to amping up their election anxiety.
Oh, definitely. I think fear mongering is one of the things that contributes to a lot of people voting like, okay, I have to do it right now. But I think one of the biggest things that I think has been pushed more is it's not solely the presidential election that has to be advocated for. It's all of the local elections as well. But I think fear mongering is used as a technique because if you think it's going to be the end of the world, one, you're going to have anxiety, but you're going to have anxiety while you press that button. So I think that does contribute to the stressors. I think it's also contributing to people feeling like they have to stay plugged in every single second because they think that they're going to miss something, some life-altering moment in the 10 minutes that you walked away from CNN. And I always say, if there's an alien invasion, I'm sure you will know. You know what I'm saying? It's like I think that's a tool that's used for many things. If we're even talking about like activism, and if we're talking about the justice system. Fear mongering is one of the ways that individuals advocate for having more weapons than anything, because they're like, well, what are you going to do without them? Maybe have some collective action with the community, but it's worked for many people. It's as American as like apple pie and oppression, honestly.
Julian, Miss, calm your ass down.
You know what? When people tell me to calm down, I become agitated, just for the record.
Which is why you need to calm your ass down.
Back at you, bro. You know? But since I appreciate what you said contextually, I wanted to share with you that the political class of Black women, we are feeling joy. You know, a group of us do a call every Sunday, Win with Black Women. We've been going long. It's a call where 44,000 women came on to support Kamala. And we've got icons who basically are talking about how they never thought they would live this long. So there's some joy there. My concern, however, the political class is not the majority. It's the people who care about politics, who keep the TV on all the time, who, you know, can tell you the line, chapter, and verse of Project 2025, which is scary, by the way. What do we say to the folks who basically haven't gotten into the politics, although it's August, but there are a lot of people who they still are just nihilistic. They don't care. What's going on with them? And what can we say to them to get them more bought into what's going on, how they can make a difference in this election?
Yeah, I typically go with seeing the reason why they do not want to get involved. And I'll be honest, a lot of people get confused by politics. A lot of people think it's more intricate than it is. They don't feel like they have the expertise to have things breaking down. And I would say one of the things is look at the resources that are being shared. A lot of individuals, like the call with Black women that happens every single week, like the fact that things are being broken down, you're able to actually hear from political figures. If you feel like it's overwhelming, we do live in the information age. Find some resources that break it down for you appropriately. Also realize that it really is the aspect of this is the power that we're given. There is no, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm sure a lot of people thought it didn't matter. And then look what happened with the last presidential election, right? If you're feeling overwhelmed by all of the decisions, take a point to look into one specific thing that matters to you and look at the policies on that. If you're concerned about mental health disparities, if you're concerned about social programs, if you're concerned about when it comes to healthcare, take one point that you're interested in and look that up and see who aligns with your values in terms of voting. But please realize that there is no aspect of it not mattering. It does matter. And when it comes down to it and things get taken away and your rights get taken away and your privileges get taken away and you work backwards, you're going to realize that it could have been avoided with a vote. I think a lot of people are overwhelmed by the aspect of policy and someone learning more and more about it. At times it is meant to be confusing, but that doesn't mean you can't slow down and take a minute and just look at one point and go from there.
Thank you.
You calm now?
No. Really, you trying to get me to cuss. That's what's going on. And I'm trying
that water. There you go.
You calm now?
No.
See? See, we just had a whole segment and your ass still agitated. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, Doc. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. That's it for us. Keep it calm, chilling. Let Julian go crazy. But do me a favor. First of all, you two folks, hit that like button. We also want y'all to support the work that we do here by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. We got to raise $25,000 because, again, when we go to next week, Democratic National Convention, we're going to be live 6 hours a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, giving y'all a perspective you're not going to get anywhere else, the true Black perspective. So we'll be live in Chicago all next week right here on the Black Start Network. So please support the work that we do. Join the Bring the Funk fan club. Send your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Start Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Also, be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Be sure to get your My Black Job is Voting t-shirt. Go to daciasdesigns.com, DACIASDESIGNS.com. QR code on the screen there as well. Use the promo code Roland for your discount. And a portion of the sale shirt sold with that promo code comes back to the show. So I appreciate that, Dacia, and my frat brother Matthew Bradford hooking that up. Renita, Omakongo, Julian, thanks a bunch. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all guys later. Folks, until tomorrow. Holla! Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?